please, starting at my left.
Chris Kirksey.
Jonathan Miller.
Walter Rullison.
Sam Attell.
And Clark Wilson here on Zoom.
Thank you, Clark. We can hear you.
Okay.
Moving on to public comments. I don't see any. I still don't see any. Moving on to the consent agenda. First item, discussion and possible action on the minutes from the January 6th, 2026 Utility Commission meeting. Minutes are included in the package. If anyone had a chance to review.
I move approval.
Motion for approval.
Second.
Second. All in favor of approving the minutes from January 2nd?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Moving on to the regular agenda, discussion and update regarding possible improvements to cellular service.
This is the same update as last time.
Yes.
I talked to the Toro Blanco group. I had a meeting with them with Alan. We had a planned follow-up meeting, and they did not attend the meeting. I've been trying to get in contact with them, still no response. So that's kind of still where we're at.
Not very interested, it sounds like they are.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate this. I know that Elizabeth may have more to say next time. But I think for now, we'll just move on to the next item, which is discussion and possible action on a policy to support property owners impacted by oak wilt through the provision of additional water passed through to the customer at the city's cost plus an administrative fee.
You guys just aren't ready to vote?
Well, I did read through it. It seems like it's pretty
Okay.
reasonable, but I imagine there's some amount of discussion that's worth having.
Yeah.
Of course. So, my name's Nikki. I'm Development Services. I haven't actually been to utility meeting. So nice to meet you. If I have not met you before. Councilmember Kevin Shell brought this forward. The area at Nixon and Hatley many years ago was faced with oak wilt, and that oak wilt since then has spread as it does, and they're starting to notice other trees that are in decline. Councilman Shell actually had some on his property and had been treating them through an ejectant treatment that arborists had given him to kind of combat it and try to bring the trees back up into health. And so with that, he has started seeing an increase in the trees that he did treat, and thought it may be a good incentive or help to the residents for trees that are in possible decline for the areas that we're calling the hot zone, which is around the area that was trenched and they were trying to kind of encompass back in 2022. So what we are trying to bring to you is at the point right now, we are just kind of batting around, trying to come up with a program. We're not sure how to look. We're not sure, how or what or the exact details of anything, but we did want to bring it to you and see how y'all's thoughts are to actually allow some sort of a program that would incentivize people to treat their oaks with that, because it does take, with those injections, it takes a lot of water to make sure that that tree is soaking up any of the injections that it's getting, and they do that by drinking and trying to get that back up to the leaves and through everything. So with that, it kind of uses a lot of that water, and Councilman Shell was kind of thinking along the lines of something of how we do our leak adjustments, with that, and trying to put a certain amount towards each resident for that and how much water they use. Again, we're not sure how the program will look, But we just want to kind of bring that to you, kind of get your feel of, would you support a program? Through however that would look, with, giving water adjustments or rebates or cutting them checks or anything of that nature, which probably is not the best, but more so of, getting it, an adjustment and kind of a rebate put onto your water bill. Again, not sure how the program will look. It's just throwing some ideas of just how the conversations have been kind of going and what things have been kind of spitballed around, but, what do y'all think?
So,
I think Clark had a.
Clark, do you have your hand raised, or did you ever?
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was raised when I had,
Oh,
not been able to hear what was going on. Now I'm okay now.
Okay. Look, it seems like a reasonable approach. Certainly, it's to the benefit of the whole community to make sure that any trees that are affected, that are being treated, have the best chance of improving. It sounds like there's more to come as to how this program will work. Certainly, we want to make sure there isn't opportunities for people to take advantage of the watering during those times, and understanding how do you control it, how do you make sure that when they're taking the water, it's going to the tree, who's involved. I'm sure there's more to come.
Of course.
But understanding, again, cost of the city is well, they have it as no cost, right? But yeah, I mean, I was supportive of it conceptually, but I'll certainly open it up to the rest of the committee.
I'm assuming that this would be some sort of, you would work with the city, that the homeowner would work with the city anyway to get this resolved, so it wouldn't be a case where somebody could just come back later and
Right.
say, oh, I've got oak wilt, so that's why he used more water.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it would be, more of, again, how the program would work, what we would require, what kind of qualifications,
Mhm.
kind of as much proof you would say for how you're actually doing that. Of course, it's not just anything that's like, oh, you get that, okay, everything's free, everything's rebated. It's just more of just trying to give a little bit of relief off that homeowner for, trying to help the community keeping those trees.
And imagine this is specifically related to getting the injection in order for the medicine, for lack of a better term, to get through to the roots, into the tree. So it's not I have wilt, so I just need to water.
Right,
There needs to be
yeah.
a plan. And again, it sounds like there's more to come as far as how the system. Right.
Yeah. And it-
What would be a reasonable period of time to approve a program for each property owner? Would it be like maybe 3 years?
To approve the program itself, or
No,
to get somebody approved
Well,
to,
approved with the water and the program of giving the medication. Would 3 years be a reasonable period for each property owner?
I don't think so. I think the treatment is probably a good 6 to 9 months, that you're gonna have to every other day or every 3 days be watering those trees with a soaker hose. You can get the
I'm-
injections and then,
Well, see, that's what I was trying to, is this a forever approval or
no,
is it
no. It's,
what period of time are you all recommending that each property owner be given under this program?
so again, we're not fully sure how the program will work. But some ideas that have been kind of pulled around is putting a $2,500 per instance to a homeowner or a property, and then a lifetime of $7,500. Again, those are not numbers that we're set with, and that was kind of the second part that I was going
That's
to.
a cost abatement for the actual injection service, not.
Kind of,
water.
but again, it's just
via
giving
the water bill.
giving
Or
that
it'd be to the
homeowner.
water bill as well.
Yes, it
Okay.
would be.
If they do the injections, right, which is
Right.
still a
Yeah,
cost.
but it's a
Right.
credits towards your water. You don't actually
Exactly.
spend
So that's what I was
2,500,
trying to
7,500,
understand.
7,500. On the draft, it's per year. So there is, the only comment it doesn't have is your question, which is when does this end? Which
Right.
there should be some window on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That
it's
is
a
some
period
cost
of
to
less than
injection
a
that the
year
homeowner
that you would want
incurs
to.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
It
And
doesn't
then, of
reimburse
course,
for
if
that.
that treatment
It just
isn't
reimburses.
working, more than likely that tree
Right.
has probably hit the mark of, it may not return. And of course, it's not that, it's like, a house plant where it looks like it's kind of dying off. You give it water, and you're like 2 days later, it's up and happy again. these trees, it takes, seasons for you to actually start to see, I think it's doing a little bit better. I think it's doing a little bit better, so.
Well, how, I don't know, but Oakville seems to be like a stressful thing for some people, and for good reason, because from what I've heard, it can generally spread and decimate areas, like large
Yes.
areas. So if this were to spread across all of Rollingwood, would we be offering this to, like, I guess that'd be like some feedback is like, are we gonna offer this to every house in the neighborhood when this becomes like pervasive? Or
That would
what are we
be
gonna do?
something that would follow, with the program. The council would,
Okay.
put that together. They would work with arborists or other
Yeah.
council members, staff, try to figure out
I
how
imagine that'd be a
that program would
citywide
work.
expense if it gets
Right.
to the point where there's pandemic level issues and there's gotta be something.
And I
whether
think
it's-
it'll be more so,
You saying there's not enough funds for a city to handle that?
I don't think there's a fix.
it'll be more so, we put $2,500 away the budget cycle and, kind of dole that out for the program, and once that program's gone for the year, then it's gone for the year. That's the money we budgeted for it.
My ask would be maybe that we try to like put some temporal cap or dollar cap on the size of the overall program, at which point
Absolutely,
it mitigates
absolutely.
the ongoing.
And that is,
It's not in the draft, but that'd be something worth adding.
yeah, no, that is something, that your council members
Yes.
definitely would be looking at for sure, but again, we're just trying to see, is that something that this commission would support, and then
So what is the,
kind of-
what do we need to, we don't have to vote on, we're not voting, are we voting to say we're open to discussing, or we're saying, I guess I'm trying to figure.
basically what we are looking for, what I had put in y'all's one sheet, was an actual kind of motion for y'all. So, the action requested is to recommend supporting the city council on the creation of a policy to support property owners impacted by Oakville through the provision of additional water passed through to the customer at the city's cost plus administrative fee.
So with an approval of that motion, city council comes up with it and determines the costs and everything. We would not see it come back to us at that point. It would just be, we're basically saying, go ahead, have at it. As long as it's cost plus, we're okay with it.
I'm just curious, I don't know, I know what Oakville is and what can happen to the trees and so forth, but how does it become communicable? Where
Yeah, so,
the
Oakville.
the whole city has.
Yes, so Oakville actually travels, so mostly through live oak trees. Live oak trees have roots that spread wide. So that's kind of why when they're talking about construction and a critical root zone, is because those trees go out. They don't just go down, they go out. And then with an oak tree, kind of forest per se, with those trees, their roots start to combine to each other. And so it's a whole underground system of their roots. And so what one is feeding off of, it's passing to the other. And Councilman Schell, he has done a lot of research on this, and he tells of how the trees are interconnected that way so much better than I do, but that's pretty much how it is. So when one does get infected, the chance that another one that is within that group will get infected, of course, you can try to stop that whole group from, catching that, but the likelihood is more so, if you've got the ones that are more affected by, or that would be affected by it, you're gonna treat them so that they're getting this extra nutrients, and you're doing that.
So it's unlikely that the whole city's gonna start having this problem?
It's unlikely. I mean, if
We trenched
nobody
in
did.
2017.
It's also insects, specifically beetles, that will transport it.
Yeah, there's two ways, yes.
So it can spread, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like,
Please,
you
please.
just wanna.
Phil McDuffie, City Council. So there's two ways this spreads. primarily, as Nikki said, through commingling of root systems, so it's almost like a virus that gets passed from one to the next and that type of thing. And it is a vascular disease, so basically it prevents the uptake of nutrients and waters into the plant. And so that's part of the reason why with these inoculations we need to inject more water, because basically it would be like somebody who's, even though you try to feed them, they don't take up nutrients and things like that. So it gets the inoculation up into the tree, and then it also flushes it out. What we're trying to do is stop it. So that's the primary way it spreads. The other thing is through the beetles, and that's why they say only trim your trees at certain times of the year, because that's when those beetles would be active and fly from one tree wound to another tree wound and set those. It can, you know, if you go out to Kevin Glasheen's ranch, and that whole area out in the country is just decimated. So untreated, it will just continue to spread. But we know this area is specific right now, and what we're trying to do is stop it there, contain it to that area, and put forth a program that is likely to do that. And most of this is going to be driven by what the arborists tell us as far as timeframes or anything like that. It'll be up to the arborists to tell us, yes, we need to do this. My understanding is also, if it's the same inoculation we were talking about 4 years ago, you can inoculate the trees twice. So you try once, if it didn't take 100%, you can try again. After that, you're pretty much out of luck. So it's kind of like, it's very much like a lot of immunizations and inoculations that humans get as well. So that's a little bit of information on it.
Any other questions, or do we have any consensus support for supporting the idea of a program like this, where as part of the program we would offer cost plus pricing for additional water to residents that are impacted?
I support it with, as part of the recommendation, some comment about capping the program, just so it's not like a free-for-all forever sort of thing. 'Cause I just worry about.
I think we can recommend that City Council give some thought as part of our motion that when the program includes some concepts
Some
around
guardrails.
capping costs and time around this, which I imagine they would probably be doing.
Yeah, I would think so.
So do you want to, someone make a motion, and then I'll.
Do you want-
So moved.
Do you want me to, a motion that we recommend supporting the City Council on the creation of a policy to support property owners impacted by oak wilt through the provision of additional water passed through to the customer at the city's cost, plus an administration fee with some consideration to long-term capping of the program.
Perfect.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
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 The ayes have it. Great.
Aye.
Moving on to the adjournment of the meeting. I think we're done.
All right.
Thank you.